Hi, and welcome. I hope you're having a great day today. I am Mrs. Duncan, and I am here this week to talk to you about theme. And you may have started talking about this in your classroom earlier this year. So as I go to share my screen, I want you to think about, what did you learn about theme, or what do you know about theme already? So think about theme as I get ready to share my screen. So we are going to work on identifying theme this week. And our learning target is, I can recognize a theme or lesson of a fictional text using key supporting details. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to recognize and identify a theme, but we also need to support it using the details in the text. So what exactly is theme? Could you think of anything? Theme is the message, moral, or lesson the author wants you to get from the story. A lot of times authors will write in order to teach you something that you can apply to your own life. So what was the message the author put in their story, or the moral, or the lesson? So you are going to ask yourself, what did the character or characters learn throughout the story? How did the character or characters change, or did they grow in some way? Were they one way at the beginning of the story, and maybe they were a little bit different in their thinking or their behavior at the end of the story? And how can this theme, this message, moral, or lesson be applied to my own life? So there are a few important things we need to know about theme if we're going to recognize it. A theme is universal. It means it can apply to everyone. It can apply to you, it can apply to people in your family, it can apply to your friends. It's universal, so it'll apply to everyone. A story can even have more than one theme. You may find a theme in a story, and someone else may see a different theme in a story. There can be two themes or even more in a story. Two or more stories may have the same theme, and as we look today at our examples, they may remind you of other stories that you've heard. So as you think, is there another story that has the same theme? Sometimes, only sometimes, the theme is stated. The author tells you the theme or the moral or the lesson right there in the story, or when you get to the end of the story. But most of the time, it must be inferred. Do you remember what that word infer means? Infer means you're going to use your text clues, what the story says, and what you already know to figure something out, to figure out what the author wants you to know. So a lot of times we need to look at the text clues and use what we already know to come up with the theme, to understand what the author wanted us to know. And most importantly, themes do not include character names. If it's going to be universal, if it's going to apply to everyone, then we're not going to put the character names in it. Yes, we got it out of that story, but it's something that we can take and apply to our own lives. So we're not going to include any character names. So we know what a theme is. How do we determine the theme? How do we figure out what the theme actually is in a story? We're going to ask first, what topic or topics is the book or story about? Common topics include love, friendship, family, respect. Those are some common topics that authors like to write about in their books. And then we're going to think about the characters. And we know characters are people or animals or even objects that are doing things in the story. The conflict, which is the problem. What is not quite going the way it's supposed to in the story? And the resolution. How does the story end? How does it wrap up? How is that conflict solved? And all of that goes with the plot. Remember, plot are story events that include the conflict and the resolution. So thinking about the character, what did the character learn about the topic? If your topic is love, what did the character learn about love throughout that story? How did the conflict and resolution help the character to change? So if it's about love, did the character feel one way about love in the beginning and another way after experiencing conflict? So we are going to practice with several short stories today. We are going to look at the grasshopper and the ants and the tricky monkey. So we are going to talk about the genre of fable today. Genre is a category or type of writing, music, or art. Overall, we're in the category or genre of fiction, which is, we know, imaginary events or people. And a fable is a genre within fiction, a short story, usually with animals as characters and having a moral. So fables are really good for teaching theme because a lot of times it is stated. So remember that moral we can use as the same as theme or lesson. So the two stories we're reading today are in the genre of fable. They will have animals as the main characters and they will be written to teach you a lesson. So we are going to start with the grasshopper and the ants. And here we go. Hopefully you can follow along while I read to you. The leaf was heavy. Ant struggled to carry it towards his family's home. From behind him, he heard someone laugh. It was Grasshopper. "It's a beautiful summer day," said Grasshopper. "Why don't you put your work down and play? There will be time later to gather food." "It is a beautiful day," replied Ant, "but if I don't work on warm days, my family will not eat on cold days." So it went, day after day, week after week. Every time Grasshopper saw ants, he laughed. "Work, work, work. There's more to life than work." Summer came to an end. The nights became cool. Ant kept busy. He wanted to gather as much food as he could before the coming winter. Grasshopper, too, felt the chill of autumn. He began to look around for things to gather. There was not much left, and time was running out. Finally, the snows came. Ant huddled with his family in the warmth of their hill. They ate leaves until they were full. They played games. At night, they slept well. Grasshopper, meanwhile, grew hungry and weak. And this one actually states right at the bottom here, moral, it is best to prepare for times of need. So this one states the moral right in it, states the theme. It tells you this whole thing was about needing to prepare for times of need. And we know prepare, what does that word mean? Prepare means to get ready ahead of time. So we're looking in here, since it already stated the theme or the moral for us, let's find the details that support this theme. What in here tells us that it is best to prepare for times of need? So I'm going through, and Ant says right here, if I don't work on warm days, my family will not eat on cold days. So he's being prepared. He's working on the warm days so that when the cold days come, they will have food. Let's see. Grasshopper says, there's more to life than work. Grasshopper does not want to spend all that time working. We know here, Ant is keeping busy. He's going to gather as much food as he could before the coming winter. And what about Grasshopper? Grasshopper began to look around. There was not much left. So by the time Grasshopper starts looking for stuff, for food, there's not much left. It's not there because other animals have gotten it. Okay, and we know ant is eating until they are full. They ate until they were full. But grasshopper grew hungry and weak. And why was he growing hungry and weak? He didn't have any food stored up. So there we go. We have looked at ant saying, if I don't work, my family won't eat. He wanted to gather as much food as he could before the coming winter. And then he was able to eat until he was full when he wanted to during the winter. Grasshopper says there's more to life than work. When he goes to gather food, there's not much left. And then he's hungry and weak. So I am going to go back to my presentation. So it told us that the moral is that it is best to prepare for times of need. And the ants' time of need was winter, when food wouldn't be growing, so they had to store it up beforehand. So what was our evidence? Our topic was about being prepared. That was our topic. We read about ant preparing, grasshopper was not preparing, grasshopper went to prepare, and then there wasn't much left for him to gather. What was the conflict or the problem? Grasshopper did nothing to prepare for winter. He wanted to keep playing. And then what was the resolution? Grasshopper was hungry and weak from lack of food all winter. So now we're thinking, what did he learn? What do you think Grasshopper's going to do the next time? If he makes it through winter, what might he do next time? He learned he needs to spend more time gathering food in the summer so he will have food to eat in the winter. He learned that he needs to be better prepared. He was not prepared for winter. He needs to be better prepared. So let's notice a few things. The theme, the stated theme, even though it was at the end of the story, did not contain character names. It did not say grasshoppers need to be prepared or ants need to be prepared. It said it is better or best to prepare for times of need. And that theme can be applied to everyone. We can say that everyone should prepare for times of need. And I want you to ponder. That means think about, think carefully, ponder. When can you apply this theme to your own life? I'm thinking your job in school is to learn and be ready. If you don't prepare for a test, what's going to happen? So can you apply this? It's best to prepare for times of need. If you need to pass a test or pass a course, should you prepare ahead of time? What happens if you wait until the last second to try and study? Think about that. Let's practice again, this time with a tricky monkey. And this is another short one. And this one, this story, A Tricky Monkey, might remind you of another story you've heard. There are multiple ways to tell these fables, and they have been told over and over in different ways. So, this is A Tricky Monkey. And hopefully you can read along with me. Remember, we're paying attention to what is the topic, what is the problem, what is the resolution, what did the characters learn? So here we go. Kojo the monkey lived in the rainforest. There were lots of monkeys in Kojo's part of the forest. Kojo had many brothers and sisters. That was good, because Kojo had many monkeys to play with. But Kojo liked to get attention too. That was hard to do with so many monkeys around. One day, Kojo decided to play a trick on the other monkeys. "Leopard!" Kojo cried. "A leopard is coming!" The monkeys scrambled. They climbed up the highest tree branches. They shook with fear. Leopards, leopards like to eat monkeys. Kojo laughed. Just kidding, he said. Kojo's Aunt Amma scolded him. Nobody likes a liar, Kojo. Kojo felt bad for a little while, but soon he got bored. A few days later, he did it again. Leopard, Kojo cried. A leopard is coming. The monkey scrambled again. Kojo laughed. Just kidding again, he said. Aunt Amma shook her head. Be careful, Kojo. Nobody will believe anything you say if you keep this up. The monkeys were all pretty upset with Kojo. They ignored him. Kojo sat in a tree branch, bored and lonely. Then he saw a shadow on the ground below. A hungry-looking leopard padded across the rainforest floor. Leopard! A leopard is coming for real this time, Kojo yelled. None of the monkeys paid any attention. The leopard was headed right for them. Kojo knew what he had to do. Here, leopard! Over here, he yelled. The leopard chased Kojo. Kojo climbed up to the highest branches. The other monkeys now saw the leopard, and they climbed into the branches, into the trees too. The leopard could not climb as high as the monkeys. She gave up and walked away. Kojo was relieved. The other monkeys were glad that Kojo had tried to save them. They forgave him for lying and played with him again. And Kojo became someone they could trust. So this one did not necessarily state the theme, so we might have to infer it a little bit. So we're thinking, what is the topic? What was this all about? And I see here the word liar. It says here, nobody will believe anything you say. Down here, it says trust. So those kind of all go together. So I'm thinking the topic here is about telling the truth. It's about honesty, telling the truth, about lying. All of those center around the same topic. So that's our topic. Now we're thinking, if that's the topic, what did the author want us to learn about honesty? What are we learning about being honest or about not lying? So let's look at our character is Kojo the monkey. He was our main character, Kojo the monkey. Now, what is the conflict in here? He keeps saying that there's a leopard. He's crying, leopard. And then he says, just kidding. And then he says, leopard for real, but none of the monkeys paid any attention. So our conflict in here is that Kojo keeps yelling leopard when there isn't really a leopard. And then nobody believes him when he does say it. And how does it end up? Kojo had to save the monkeys. He saved them, and then he became someone they could trust. So they learned to trust him at the end because he did tell the truth at the end, and then he had to save them and prove it. So let's go back to our presentation. What was our topic? Our topic is about honesty or lying. The conflict was that Kojo was yelling leopard when there was not a real leopard. Our resolution was that no one believed Kojo when a real leopard appeared until they saw it for themselves, and Kojo had saved them. So what did Kojo learn? He learned that no one will believe him when he is telling the truth if he keeps lying to them. Or we could say, it is better to be honest. He learned that it's better to be honest. They trusted him when he was honest. They did not trust him when he was dishonest. So now we need to turn that into a theme. We can't use Kojo's name. We know themes do not have names. So the theme could be, no one will believe a liar, or always tell the truth so people will believe you. Let's think about that. There are different ways of stating the theme. So either one of those would work. They essentially say the same thing, just stated in different ways. The theme does not contain any character's name. We didn't say Kojo learned to always tell the truth. We want this to be universal for everybody. Nobody's going to believe a liar. You know that. If someone keeps lying to you, you're not going to believe them. If you keep lying to your parents, they won't believe you. And as we said, the theme can be applied to everyone. So your turn. You are going to click the link in the learning path to access a story and questions or another learning activity that you would like to complete this week. So there will be a choice board on your learning path, and you can choose one activity each day to complete to help you continue learning about theme. And we will continue learning about theme in our next lesson. Remember, we are learning to recognize and identify the theme and use our key details for support. And can you repeat what a theme is? It's the message, moral, or lesson the author wants you to get out of the story. So keep that in mind, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.